Hello. Hi, Amelie. Can you hear me? Hi, Amelie. Can you hear me? Hello. Hi, Amelie. Can you hear me? Hello. Hi, Amelie. Can you hear me? Hello. Can you hear me? Hi, William. Can you hear me?
Hello, sir.
Yes. Come again, kindly. I was not able to catch you.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes. Now I can hear you.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah. So I just wanted to at least appreciate you for joining the meeting. We had some few technical issues. So yeah, we are hopeful to begin in the next few minutes. Yes.
Oh, okay. So I can wait for some minutes.
Yes.
Okay. Then I'll be waiting.
Okay.
All right.
So I think we can begin the meeting. So thank you so much for joining our webinar today. So a quick one, we want to try something different this webinar. And William, you being the guest of honor today, I'd love for you to probably just give me insights or what specific features in FarmCloud would you appreciate if we were to highlight it today in the webinar, and then we'll give it the full focus and focus on the other features as well.
Let's see. I think you mentioned something. I cannot hear you clearly.
Oh yes, I was mentioning if there's any specific feature on FarmCloud that you'd love for us to give more focus to. Yes, I'd appreciate if you could give us your insight.
Okay. Okay. I'll not say that I'm familiar with what your system.
Okay, no
Does.
worries, it's understandable.
Yeah, because I think I've just been receiving promotional emails. So
Okay,
yeah. So unless I get an explanation of what exactly you do.
okay, then well that's understood. Okay, no worries, I've understood you. Okay.
Yeah.
So I believe my screen is visible on your end. So just to give you a brief overview of what FarmCloud does, FarmCloud is a software platform that is used to record your daily farm activities. So things like fertilizer application, harvesting period, how you're irrigating your crops, the relationship between new buyers and sellers, how you're selling your produce, also, we also have a section for weather and satellite where you can get the forecast for the weather and monitor the health of your crops through satellite data. So that's just a brief overview of what FarmCloud does. And this is how FarmCloud looks like, and this is the summary page. So just to walk you quickly through FarmCloud, um, so where we normally begin under FarmCloud is you have to indicate to the system what the type of structure you have in your farm and the crop that you're growing. And this is usually done under this section. So you have either greenhouses, shade nets, or open field, depending on what you have in your farm. So that is usually the first step. So after you've indicated, let's say for example, if you have an open field, after you've added a block and indicated it block William, let's say for example in block William you're growing tomatoes. After recording the recording after recording the information about block William, the next step is usually you when you tap on the name of the block, it will give you the option to add a plant. And we have a variety of plants highlighted in the system. So you'll select the plant that you're growing, the variety, quantity of seeds you use, and what you project to be the harvest, and then you add. So now the system will know that in block William, I am growing tomatoes and I use this specific amount of seeds and seedlings, and this is the projected output I am expecting. So after indicating the type of structure you have, the next step is usually keeping records of the farm inputs, that being fertilizers and agrochemical. So this is the section where you fill that in. So under it's very easy actually. So when you tap on the add fertilizer, so you'll just add if you've bought something new, if you've bought any new fertilizer, if you've bought any new agrochemical, this is the section to fill it in. So you'll enter the name of the specific fertilizer, who was the supplier. If the supplier is not necessarily highlighted, you will go on the other section. Sorry, and then you indicate the quantity you've bought. So if it is 100 kgs, if it's 1 kg, depending on what you've bought. And then minimum quantity alert is just to gauge yourself so that you don't run out of fertilizer. So the system will be you'll find that there's a red color on the quantity available. So that's a clear indication for you to restock. And then you indicate the amount that you bought the fertilizer for, and then you add. So regarding the minimum quantity alert, this is what I meant. It is going to be in low when the available quantity is less than the alert quantity, and it alerts you to restock. So that's usually the first step. The next step is the daily work report. So the daily work report is mainly what exactly you're doing in your farm on a regular basis. Definitely, fertilizer application is part of it. Scouting report. So under fertilizer, let me show you how the report looks like. So what you'll do, remember when we had created block William? So you'll select the block that you're applying, not necessarily block, but rather the structure that you're applying the fertilizer to. So if it was on the open field, you select the block. Once you select the block, it is going to give you the variety. You're normally given an option to select the planting stage. You'll have various options from planting, transplanting, sprouting, depending on what the stage you're in. And then you'll enter the fertilizer name that you're applying, dates and time of application, quantity you had applied, and the method of application, and then you add. So every time you fill in this report, it will be deducting on the inventory section of fertilizer and agrochemical. So fertilizer and agrochemical is exactly the same thing. So under scouting, just as the name suggests, what exactly did you see while at your farm? And this is an illustration of the report. Same step, you have to indicate the element or rather the structure. You select the plant variety, you select the stage that you're in, the date of scouting, and then you give a brief description. So it doesn't necessarily, you're not tied to negative feedback. So if it's something positive, sure, you can go ahead and fill it in. You give a brief description and you upload images, and then you add. That's just it when it comes to scouting. And then manual irrigation, quite easy. Just as the name, what was the quantity of water you had irrigated for? That's it actually. What was the quantity of water you had irrigated for? And the only difference is that you will be required to indicate the duration you were irrigating for. So we have this section for the pre-harvest. Pre-harvest is a bit unique compared to the other reports since you'll be given a checklist. And this checklist is just to help you uh, see if you're actually ready for the harvesting or if there are any measures you need to take before proceeding with harvesting. So there's a list here you're required to fill in truthfully. Yeah, and then you can gauge and see if you're actually ready for harvesting. Now harvest, we have the harvest report. So once you've gotten your produce, you have to indicate what was the quantity of produce you got, the high quality produce, the low quality produce, and also the produce that might have been lost during transit or whatever the case it might have been for you to lose the harvest. So same thing. You select where's the structure that you're harvesting from. If it's the open field, the greenhouse, the variety, the stage is definitely going to be harvesting. You have to indicate the time you're harvesting and high quality harvest, low quality harvest, and harvest lost in transit. Now, depending on the specific crop, also that matters. Yeah, but in this case, you're just required to fill in truthfully, depending on what you had gotten from the harvest. Other than that, we do acknowledge that these are not the only activities done in the farm. So we have the other section for you to fill in any other report that you'd love to be included in the platform. So may it be you did some soil testing or you pruned, you weed. Yes, so this is the section whereby you indicate any other report that's not highlighted in the system. So we'd love to go to the next section, which is the accounting. accounting section of FarmCloud. I don't know if there's any questions. If they are, please feel free to raise your hand. We'll be happy to address them. Okay. So if there are no question so far, I think we can proceed to accounting. So I'll have my colleague Sam join in to present, or rather to explain further on the accounting bit, and then we'll cover weather and satellites.
Hi everyone, my name is Sam and I'm co-host to Stacy for our monthly webinar. I'll be taking you through the accounting bit of FarmCloud so you can see how you can manage your invoices and track your expenses that you incur in your farm. Let me share my screen so that I can show you uh, how that is done. Just 1 minute. All right. So when you want to manage your expenses that you have incurred in your farm. We have an expense tab over here. It lists general expenses and also element specific expenses. General expense are expense that are not incurred during the farm operation, but they accompany, or they are, I can say, the third party expenses that you have incurred in your farm. Element specific are more specialized in given part of your farm. So as you can see here, expenses that apply to entire farm and are not specific to any particular element. So as I said, they are like third party expenses like fuel, labor, or general maintenance. And we have element specific expense where it records expense directly tied to the farm element, such as greenhouse equipment or particular field, which allows you daily tracking of expense per element. So then we have our income tab that lists the invoices that you have. Invoices for when you have sold your farm products to our buyer. So here we have our buyer, and then the invoice number, the due date, the invoice amount, the paid amount, the remaining amount, the status, and action. Remaining amount is if an invoice is partially paid, so you can see the remaining amount over here. And this is the status of the invoice. It shows the current status or stage in which the invoice is in. Currently, we have paid. That is when the invoice has been fully paid, and issued when the invoice has been generated but it has not been paid. And also we have voided status when you have voided an invoice, and overdue status. This is an invoice whose payment has exceeded the payment date, and also a partially paid invoice. So with that quick highlight, let me show you how to create an invoice. When you want to create an invoice, you click this button for adding invoices. So you can add an invoice there. We have invoice number field. This invoice number field is a unique field. You can choose to provide your own invoice number if you let's say track the number of invoices that you create, or maybe if you don't want to create a manual entry, you can leave it as blank, and it will be automatically generated for you. Then the date issued is the date you issued the invoice, the date you created the invoice. We allow backtracking because maybe let's say you are at the time you created an account in FarmCloud, uh, you had already created the invoice, so you can create an invoice for a date that has already passed. So let's say we create invoice for 18th, and then due date is when you expect the invoice to be fully paid. Invoice to be fully paid, you can say is first. Then you select the buyer. For buyer, you have to add a buyer to your system. If you don't have a buyer, you will, when you click here, you'll be prompted to add a buyer and taken to the add buyer page. I will highlight that after this. Then you can say Stacy, and then you have a custom, pardon, custom billing and shipping address. When you check this box, you have billing address and shipping address, which are different from the billing address and shipping address for this buyer. So my billing address and shipping address are the same for the buyer, so I will uncheck this box. Then the invoice item, it shows the product that you want to invoice, the description, the quantity, the unit price, if the product is subject to tax, and also the amount now is out of field for you. So you can pick one product over here. You see the description is out of field. Then you can say quantity is let's say 100. Then unit price is price for one quantity. We have 100, so you can say unit price for one is, let's say, 100 still. Then if our product is subject to tax, we can say we have a tax here. So for those of us who are creating a tax for the first time, we have a button here to add new tax. So this button, what it does, it allows you to add a new tax name. So you can see if you have with withholding tax, then you say your tax rate. Maybe you can say it's 7%, and then you save. So the next time when you want to add a tax, you just pick from the drop down over here. Then the next part, we have our payment details. So these payment details are the details that you have recorded in FarmCloud where you want to receive your payments for these goods over here. So we need to add our payment details. We add a payment method. So for when we click that button for this button for adding our payment method, we have a dialog over here which prompt us to select a payment method that we want to add. So we have a few options. We have cash, mobile money, bank transfer, and check. So for cash, you only have one field, and then you can add it. For mobile money, you have the to select the mobile money service. If it's send money, pay bill, or till number, then you for mobile or for send money, you can enter the mobile number. Then for pay bill, you enter business number and account number. Basically, how the Safaricom's mobile money works, and also for till number, the same thing. So for till number, let me pick till number, and oh wait, let me show you how the bank transfer looks like. So for bank, you have a bank name, the account name, the bank account number, the SWIFT code for the bank, also the branch, and the currency. Then currency is an auto pick field, so you can pick your currency over here. Then if you want to save this payment method for future use, you can tick this box over here, and also then you can add. So let's go back to now the check payment method. So for check, we have only the payee name because that is what is allowed in the check. Then you can choose to save this payment method for future. Again, you just press this toggle button. Then after that, now let's go back and select till number and say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, something like that. And then we add. So we have added a till number. So once we have our payment method over here, we can choose to use that payment method for this invoice. So you say till number, then notes. We can say you can write a brief description of your invoice. You can say products totaling 11,600 for Williams high quality. So you can see then after you filled your note section, you have your discount. If you want, say, let's say you want to apply the discount over here, you can apply the discount. Also for shipping fee, if you want to include shipping fee, you fill it over here. Let me fill it. I can say 10. Then for tax breakdown, this is a tax breakdown. It shows you the, let's say, the number of taxes. If you have more than one tax that you have added for multiple products, then the total amount, including the tax now, you can see it's different from what is over here and here. It's because this one includes the tax and also the shipping fee. If we had discount, it would be different. So we save. Then now after you have saved the invoice, you can see that this is our buyer. This is the invoice now, the invoice number, the due date. It is due in 5 days. The invoice amount, status is paid, status is issued, and paid amount is none. Then we have the total of the remaining amount is this one. So once you have that, you have your invoices. You can choose to perform some actions on your invoices. So here we have a view invoice, edit invoice, void invoice, and delete invoice. View invoice, you can view the status of the invoice and download it if you want to share a hard copy of the invoice to maybe your buyer. So here we have invoice status and the details that we included here. As you can see, the notes, then link to FarmCloud is over here. When you scan, then you can choose to download or close. If you close, then the next part is to edit the invoice. If maybe you made an error while adding your invoice or recording your invoice, you can choose here to edit your invoice over here. Then after you ensure that your invoice is correct, now you can click save. So I'll click cancel because I don't want to edit mine. Then the next one is to void an invoice. Let me void one over here. If I void an invoice, so you'll be provided with this prompt which says that you cannot undo this action. Then you void the invoice and you see the status will change to voided. And if you see over here, we'll have invoice voided status up here, and our amount has been unapplied for our specific invoice. Then you close. Then if you want to delete an invoice, you can delete this invoice over here. You type the word delete and the action will be performed, so you can delete one. Then it's gone. So that's all that pertains to invoices. And if now you want to view the payments that have gone in for particular invoice, you come here to invoice, the invoice column. It lists all the invoice number. Then you click for one invoice. Then this table over here lists the payments that have gone in for this invoice. Then let's say let me choose one invoice that has been paid. So you can see that we have one payment that has been applied, and the method here, the payment date, everything is correct over here. That's it. Then above here we have our summary page for tracking our activities for invoices. And also next to invoices we have payments. So payments are the payments that have been applied for our farm. So these payments, the ones that are applied are applied against a given invoice, and the ones that are unapplied, maybe we had applied it to an invoice, then we voided the invoice, so the payment status was changed to unapplied. Yep. So that's it when it comes to invoices. If you have any question, you can raise up your hand or you can type and I will respond to your query. Then let's come to our expense. As I shared earlier, we have two categories. I'll do one. Then because the procedure is just the same, so we have this summary page as a table that lists the expense type, the category, the date, narration, vendor, the amount, payment method, and the status. The status is pending or approved or cancelled, which is reject. And we have some actions that you can perform against our expense. Then if we let me take you through element specific expense. So you'll be provided with this form. Give it a second. Okay. So we have a category of our expense. Farm element, the element in which we incurred this expense, and then the date. We have our plant variety, the supplier, then the date incurred, the cost. You can say 1,000 Kenya shillings, and then the payment method. If we have a receipt or a supporting document for our expense, we can fill it even over here. And expense description, you can add a description. You can say soil testing expense, expense for block Ghana, for block Ghana, and that's it. Okay, so we see our expenses over here. If we see expense info, you can see the plant, the element, farm element, the variety and everything that pertains to our expense. Then you can choose to approve this expense or reject this expense. So if we approve, you can see the status has changed from pending to approved. Approved are the ones that you have approved, and then pending require approval by the farm owner. Then that's it. As I said, let me show you how the form for other type of expenses like, because it's the process is similar. Give it a minute. The process is similar for both element specific expense and general expense. And with that, I have concluded the accounting bit. So if you have any question, let me answer them.
So thank you, Sam, for the elaborate explanation on the accounting features. So I think the next step we're going to go through is the weather and satellite. So under weather and satellite, its main function is to give you real-time and historical data to enable you to monitor your crops remotely. So for weather, definitely you get the weather forecast, and for the satellite, you'll get to monitor how healthy your crops are doing. So the first step is usually to ensure that you've plotted a farm boundary. So after plotting a farm boundary, once you have the boundary, now you'll be able to get this data. So we can check on one boundary to use it as an illustration. Okay, so this is what you'll roughly get when you have plotted your farm boundary. What you get is the weather information, that being temperature, maximum and minimum temperature, and also precipitation level. You also have the section for area where it gives you the estimate of area you have plotted, and you have the soil data, that being temperature at the top of the soil, temperature 10 centimeters deep, and the soil moisture. So if you can check on the graph, you can see that now for weather you'll get three forecasts, that being hourly, daily, and historical weather. And to interpret the graph, we have a pop-up there to help you understand. The orange line stands for maximum temperature, the yellow minimum, and the blue one as the precipitation level. So as you check consistently and filter out the specific dates you'd want to check, that's specifically for historical weather. You can be able to tell if it's about to rain or not. How's the weather looking today? And a point to note for the historical weather, you can only feature date back up to 1 year. So if I can take you to satellite data, so under satellite, you monitor how healthy your crops are doing with the help of indices. So we have a number of indices. I'll walk you through the various indices. So we have NDVI, which stands for Normalized Difference Vegetation Index, and its main focus is to measure how the amount of green vegetation in an area. So for this one, any values between zero point 0.6 to 1, it's a clear indication that your crops are doing well. And any figures from 0 to zero point 0.2, there's stress in your crops. So we have EVI and EVI2. So EVI1 and EVI2, they're similar to NDVI. So when you have NDVI, EVI, and EVI2, they are similar to NDVI, and its main focus is to see how what's the level of green vegetation in the area, and to interpret this. So any values between zero point 0.6 to 1, there's enough green vegetation, and 0 to zero point 0.2, there's a clear indication that there's stress in the crops. So if we can check NDWI. Under NDWI, this is Normalized Difference Water Index, and the main focus is to measure the water content in the plants and in the soil. And high values ranges between zero point 0.3 to 1, and low values, it's zero, any figure below zero point 0.3. The next one we have is the DSWI, which stands for Dry Soil Water Index, and its main focus is to measure soil moisture levels by analyzing how light reflects off the soil surface. So for this one, high values is any value above zero point 0.5, and low values is any value below zero point 0.3. So just a summary of the indices. So NDVI, EVI, and EVI2, the higher the value, the indication of a healthier crop, and the lower the value, an indication of a stressed crop. And DSWI, higher value, suggests more drought stress, and lower value indicates sufficient water in the plants. And NDVI is the opposite of DSWI, which stands for higher value suggests more water content. So that's just a brief overview of the weather and satellite. So I don't know if there are any further questions. Um, we can address them if there's any questions.
If there are questions, I'll be happy to address the questions. And if there's an area that you want clarification for, kindly uh, type your area in the chat and I will answer you. Or if everything is okay, you can raise up your hand, or a thumbs up is okay, so then you can continue. All right. So let me take you through the bias section. As you as you have seen, um, as you saw in the invoice part, we have our bias that we want to link our invoices with. So for the bias, this is the bias part. We have the company name represents the company where the buyer is coming from. The email address is the email address of the buyer, the phone number, the currency, and if the buyer has any balances, that is, maybe you added an invoice into your farm against this buyer, and the buyer has not cleared the invoice, so the buyer will have pending balances over here, and the status of the buyer is either active or inactive, depending on how you want your buyer to be. So if you archive the buyer is going to be inactive and you can't transact with the buyer. Here we have the add buyer form. For this is the currency in which the buyer transacts with. So let's say my buyer transacts with US dollars. So US dollars. US dollars is here, United States dollars, or maybe Ugandan shillings. The first name is optional because we have a company name. I told you that the company name is the company in which the buyer is from. Also, we have our last name is optional over here. Then the company name, you have to be very careful about the company. Then the email address of the buyer. Then the phone number, the fax, the website, if the buyer has any website. Also, we have a billing part. If you can remember again, there's a checkbox when you are creating the invoice where I told you that if the billing address and the shipping address of the buyer are different, you can check that checkbox. But if they are the same, you will check it. Then here we have street address 1 and street address 2 for the buyer, the country name where the buyer is from. So our buyer is from Uganda. Then the city, Kampala, and then we have our postal code. Then here we have another checkbox. If shipping address is same as billing address, we check this box. But if the shipping address of the buyer is not the same as the billing address, the shipping address is where we want to ship the product, that is in general, and then the billing address is the address in where we'll be billing from. So here, if the shipping address is not the same, not the same as the uh, where we are going to send the product to, then we uncheck this box over here. Then we record the street address, the shipping city, the country again, and shipping postal code. Let's say our buyer, you see, we are billing the buyer from Uganda, and the buyer resides in Kenya, so we can say Kenya. Kenya is here, and then the shipping city you can say is Nairobi. It's that simple. Then the postal code, you enter the postal code. Then here we have notes and attachment. These are notes that you'll want to describe the buyer with, or something that enables you to create a rapport with the buyer. And then the attachments may be the buyer's passport photo or documents that shows that this buyer is authenticated, and also payment terms. Payment terms is the number of for payment terms, we have invoice period and payment method. So here, payment period is in days, and it shows then a period in which you and the buyer have agreed that the buyer should settle all his debts or clear all the invoices. Here we have a payment method, cash, M-Pesa, bank transfer again. So you choose the payment method for your buyer. After you've confirmed that everything is okay, then you can add the buyer. Then once you've added your buyer, the buyer will appear here. And if you want to view the buyer details, you can click under the company name. Then you'll see uh, the total paid. This is for invoices, the amount that he has paid, the pending amount, the overdue, and the total invoices that the buyer has. Then we have the overview part, which shows the contact information of the buyer, billing account, addresses, and notes and attachments, like everything. Then here we have invoices. These are the invoices that are linked to the buyer in our farm. So in FarmCloud, for those of us who have upgraded from the free tier to maybe a silver package like this one, or a gold package, you have many farms and you can have a buyer uh, tied to your farm, and the buyer can have different invoices in different farms. So here, this means that this invoice is for another farm. So our buyer here in this farm has no invoices. Then if you now you can see that we have the same interface for creating an invoice and receiving payment, also for editing our buyer, and also the website if you listed a website over here. Then let's go back now. That's it for the buyer section. Now for let me highlight quickly the farm staff part. For farm staff is where you have invited users into your farm. So you yourself, you're a farm owner, and maybe uh, you want your farm managed by someone else. So you can invite that person as a farm worker or maybe a farm manager. So here, uh, in the free tier, you can only have uh, one person, but in the paid tiers like silver package, gold package, for silver you have three farm workers you can invite. For gold package you have five. So here you can choose to invite your users. So here you can see that I need to upgrade my subscription. So uh, I'll do that later. Then once you have been invited your farm workers and your farm managers, you'll see them appear here as a list over here. And then this one shows the number of users that you have invited, the ones that are yet to accept the invite. Once a user accepts an invite, they will appear here. And for you to invite a user, that user must have a an account in FarmCloud. It's a very simple process. So once that is done, also you've covered the farm assets part and the accounting bit, the weather and satellite, and the bias part. If there's any question before we proceed to the settings page, I'll be happy to address them quickly as we wind up. This is the last section. So if you have a question, let me see. You raise up your hand. Okay. Ask your question, William.
Okay.
Yes, William.
I hope I'm audible.
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, that's good. Uh, so I'm actually in the agricultural business. Yeah. I
Okay.
run an agro vet. Yes, and I also do a bit of farming.
Okay.
Of course, yeah. Of course, just curious to understand because I've seen a number of companies or organizations that have tried to come up with these types of systems. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think initially there was like DigiFarm. There's another company of a friend is called FarmSys.
Hmm.
So they have, I think, they have this kind of working system, or let's say they have this kind of goal where they seek to help the farmers.
Okay.
So my curiosity is just to understand how different are you from these other guys, and what kind of defense systems have you built around your system to ensure continuity?
Okay. So what we have
Yes.
done, what we have done with our system is that we have agronomy support, and we also, once you have taken your crop through all the stages from buying the seedlings to applying fertilizer all the way until the harvesting, you can contact us and we are going to link you with our marketplace so that you can sell your goods. Also, coupled into FarmCloud is we have smart farming tools which offers high precision where they help you to irrigate. It's called Farm Shield. It appears as a different category, but you can link it to FarmCloud. So we have Farm Shield that offers you smart precision farming, where it offers you irrigation and also drying. Let's say if you are into coffee or mangoes, you have we have solar dryers where we use solar powered fans to dry your produce, then so that you can have minimal loss and you can maintain your products until all the way to the market, and then you can be able to sell your products. I can't talk about other websites because I haven't interacted with them much, but
Yes.
that is what we offer in our platform. And also I also shared that we offer agronomy support. So if you see that while you're recording your reports for your plants and
Mm.
you see that your plants are not doing well, you can reach Stacy through the FarmCloud help section, and then an agronomist will be attached to you so that you can be able to address the issue in your crops. Also, other than the farming part and also the invoices part, I think that's all that FarmCloud has, and the Farm Shield part here.
Okay, okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. That's good to hear.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyone else with a question? Oh, okay, all right. So if no one else has a question, let me now take you through the final bit here for our settings. Uh, you see your personal information as account details, the farm info, and the billing and subscription. So here you can see you can change your password, you can edit your personal information and everything, all that. This is for your managing your account. And then for those who have more than one farm, you can see your farm info over here, the currency, the name, the location of your farm over here. Also for billing and subscription, this is where you upgrade your payment. You update your payment. So you can see for me, I have a FarmCloud Silver package. It allows maximum 3 users, and I have 2 out of 3 farms. Then it has been cancelled. The payment method, you can set a default, or also you can change your plan over here, or you can cancel the subscription. Here we have your billing history. Then you can download your invoices and see the status of your invoice. The billing and subscription part is also being updated so that it can be more user friendly, and also you can be more independent as a user so that you don't have to reach out to Stacy if you have any issues, so that you can be able to manage your account more privately. That's it for farm settings part. For summary, we have the financial summary. It shows the income, the general expense, and also the element specific expense. And the sheet nets, the screen houses, it generally shows you the summary of your farm. And if you have any reports that you have logged in the account, you can see them over here. Also, um, for those of us who have more than one farm, this is where you manage your farms. So you can see I have this one and also this one. So if I log into my other farm, you can see that this farm is I have not used it. So this is how the farms are similar. That means maybe if you have one farm in Kitui, another one in Kambu, that's how you can be able to manage your farm from one place. Yeah. Um, is anyone does anyone have a question that you'd like me to address, or something that you'd like me to clarify before we wind up? Raise up your hand, or you can chat chat me through the webinar chat. If there are no questions, let me see a thumbs up. Shows that you've understood everything, and everything is clear, and we can proceed then. Okay. So we have covered every part in FarmCloud. If you have a question, feel free to reach out here to Stacy over here. Then she will be able to schedule a webinar, not a webinar, but a walkthrough of FarmCloud or FarmCloud, and she'll be able to address any issues that you have, whether it's creating an account or subscribing to FarmCloud tiers, or if you also want FarmShield, everything she will be able to help you with. So with that, we have come to the end of our webinar, and thanking you for your participation and for your questions. I'm looking forward to seeing you again here next month. We usually have our webinars on the last Friday of each month. So yeah, that's it. Unless you have a question before we end the webinar, I'm happy to address it. Any questions? If you don't have a question, you can feel free to leave, and let's see. Let's meet each other next month.